A man walks through an abandoned indoor parking lot with a sword and gun. He is ambushed by a group of armed men, but he easily defeats all of them. His name, Taro Sakamoto. He was known as the most dangerous assassin until he fell in love and got married. A strange kid stands across the road from the Sakamoto store, relieved that he finally found Taro. Inside, Taro sits down, while a young boy draws a circle on this store's door and uses a bow to shoot at its center. Just then, a customer walks in, and the young boy spills black ink on his pants. Furious, the man attempts to strike the boy, but is interrupted by Sakamoto, who imagines himself stabbing the man in his neck. As the man leaves, the young boy thanks him. The stranger from earlier congratulates Sakamoto on his moves and introduces himself as Shin the Psychic, who is also a hitman. Sakamoto attacks him in his mind, killing him, causing Shin to scold him. Shin and Sakamoto sit outside where Shin begs him to come back to the hitman underworld, to which he refuses. Shin tries to smoke in front of him, but he cuts the cigarette in half. Shocked, Shin hears Sakamoto's taunts. Just then, a delivery man asks Sakamoto for a favor, but Shin thinks that the delivery man wants Sakamoto to carry out a hit, disgusting him. He then takes the saw and cuts the trees quickly, shocking Shin. In another scene, he is spoon-feeding his child and also helping out children in the community. Seeing this, Shin insults him, then leaves. In his car, Shin is disappointed, but still idolizes Sakamoto. Just then, he receives a call from his boss asking him if he has killed Sakamoto as yet, but he tells him no. His boss threatens him by telling him he will send someone else if he can't do the job. Perplexed, Shin remembers the times that he spent with Sakamoto. Although hesitant, he settles in himself that he will kill Sakamoto. The next day, Shin arrives at the store with a gun to kill Sakamoto. Sakamoto, knowing the situation, sucks a cough drop. Just as Shin goes to shoot him, he spits the cough drop at the bullet, deflecting it. He then throws a popsicle at him and disappears. Shin is perplexed that he can't read Sakamoto's mind as he wanders around the store. Sakamoto uses the cough drops as bullets and incapacitates Shin. Later, Shin finds himself in the upstairs home of Sakamoto. His wife feeds him, and he blushes at the taste of the food. Shin finally realizes why Sakamoto doesn't want to go back to being a hitman, and leaves realizing that he is no match for Sakamoto. At his boss's hideout, Shin pleads for Sakamoto not to be killed by the organization, and asks if he can take Sakamoto's place instead for neglecting his duties, to which the boss agrees. However, being a psychic, he reads the boss's thoughts. Knowing that he is going to get double-crossed from his boss, a tense battle ensues. Sakamoto then opens his hidden gun collection and picks out a taser. Shin, trying his best to fight the organization, is shot in his leg and immobilized. Just when all hope seems lost, Sakamoto shows up, tasing the attackers. He then defeats everyone in the warehouse, shocking Shin. It was revealed that Sakamoto bugged Shin's gun so he could find his location. Shin then gives Sakamoto gratitude, but Sakamoto throws him an apron to hire him. At the store, Shin gets compliments from Sakamoto's wife and kid. Shin then uses his psychic powers to find out what grocery items a customer wants. The little boy questions Shin about his prior job, but is cut off and threatened by Sakamoto. Shin is now a full-time employee at Sakamoto's store. He reminisces about the last encounter they had and the moves that Sakamoto displayed, praising him. His wife gets annoyed and tells Sakamoto if he ever breaks the family rules, no killing, she will file for divorce. This terrifies him. Frustrated, he kills Shin in his mind, causing Shin to scold him. Later, they go out to Chinatown to shop for heavenly pork buns. Shin notices that Sakamoto buys this for his family and is touched. Just then, a girl jumps from a 2-story window, crashing into Sakamoto and crushing the heavenly pork buns. She is pursued by armed men, her name Lu Xiaotang. Frustrated, the armed men taunt her and she replies back with provoking remarks. Shin urges Sakamoto to leave the scene, but he is more concerned about the pork buns. A fight ensues between her and the men. She puts up a fight, but is captured by them. As she is about to be stabbed by a knife, Sakamoto intervenes and uses a pair of tongs to break the knife and defeat the man. Shin and Lu also take care of their opponents as well. As more reinforcements come in, the trio flees. Later, at Dan Incorporated, the CEO is frustrated that Lu escaped and scolds his subordinate. As he apologizes, his head is cut off. Enter the two assassins Sun-hee and Bacho. Sun scolds his brother for killing people tastelessly. They are then instructed by the CEO to retrieve Lu by any means necessary. On the rooftop, Shin and Sakamoto discover that Lu is the daughter of a mafia family. Her and Shin argue over whether she should keep the key or not. We then go into a flashback with Lu helped by her mother and father to make an escape. She explains to Shin and Sakamoto that her problems are not theirs and prepares to leave, but Sakamoto stops her and asks if she knows how to make authentic pork buns, confusing her. She tells him she can try, but is cut off by Shin, who is cautious of her. Suddenly, Sakamoto is kicked into a nearby building. Sun-hee and Bacho appear. Sun-hee scolds Bacho for having tasteless kicks and goes on to insult him even further. Lu explains that they are assassins and never miss a target. Shin charges in and his attack is blocked. As they exchange threats, Bacho attempts to kill Lu but is intercepted by Sakamoto. Sun-hee questions Sakamoto, but he is more worried about the pork buns. Impressed with his strength, they plan to kill Sakamoto. They then taunt Lu, causing her to attack, but Sakamoto pulls her back. She is confused as to why he is helping her. We then go into a flashback where Sakamoto's fiancé threatens him to not kill anymore and choose another path in life. She then jumps off of the building, and Sakamoto catches her before they hit the ground. She then convinces him to change his ways, and he promises her. Back in the present, Shin is crying because he has read Sakamoto's thoughts. Sakamoto then tells Shin not to kill. The fight commences with Sakamoto effortlessly dodging their attacks. They get frustrated and unleash an ultimate attack, but couldn't land a single hit. He then finishes the fight and brings them tied up to the CEO. Lu then relentlessly pummels the CEO. Shin urges her to continue beating him, but Sakamoto cracks Shin's neck in his mind, forcing him to stop. Lu then uses the key to her family's vault, where they find expensive riches. Lu finds an expensive bottle of wine with a note from her father and begins to get emotional. The trio then share the crushed pork buns. Later, at Sakamoto's store, he walks in with a headache. Lu also walks in and with an employee's apron. Shin then reminds Sakamoto of how beautiful his story was in changing his life. Curious to know, Shin explains to him that he read his thoughts during the fight. Sakamoto gives Shin a book officially inviting him into the family. Later, Sakamoto, Shin, and Lu are being targeted for a huge bounty. At Sakamoto's store, Lu comes to work late. Shin scolds her for not being on time. He also scolds her for not keeping the shop in order and asks Sakamoto to fire her. Sakamoto then tells Shin that he shouldn't be mean to her and asks him to apologize. This shocks Shin and Lu, as they have never heard Sakamoto talk this much. Shin explains to Lu that in all his years of working with Sakamoto, he has never been this talkative. Sakamoto is taken back by this. Just then, another Sakamoto walks into the store, complicating the situation. After sitting down, Sakamoto and his doppelganger have a fierce exchange. Nagumo. The name of the doppelganger laughs at Shin and Lu for falling for his trick. He lies to them again about his age and where he's from, and Sakamoto clears it up, causing the two to beat him up. Nagumo then tells Sakamoto that he has a bounty on his head of 1 billion from the association. Shin and Lu think he is lying, but just then a pizza guy comes in and tries to kill Nagumo. However, he is able to get free and was just about to kill the pizza guy, but was interrupted by Sakamoto. Nagumo tells Sakamoto that the no-kill policy won't work when the real assassins come. He leaves, telling Sakamoto to be careful, and carries the pizza guy. It is revealed that a camera is in the pizza box. Here, we see a bunch of assassins discussing Sakamoto's bounty and the reasons behind it. The organization is called the Dondenkai. The leader tells them that he must not be underestimated because he was part of the legendary Order organization, but the members dismiss this, telling him that the Order is just a myth. Sakamoto then surprises them by finding the camera in the pizza box and disables it. Shin tells Sakamoto that he doesn't trust Nagumo. Sakamoto tells him it would be best to keep a low profile. Just then, his child comes and reminds him about the trip to the amusement park, causing him to feel anxious. Later, at the amusement park, Sakamoto, Shin, and Lu are on edge. As they all go on the first ride, Lu and Sakamoto become sick, while his daughter talks about how fun the amusement park is, as well as their mascot. Aoi, his wife, is also thankful. Shin and Sakamoto are on edge because they think of the 1 billion bounty. As they walk around the amusement park, Shin and Lu review their plan to protect the Sakamoto family. He explains to Lu that he can read everyone's mind in a 30-meter radius, picking up a person's heightened emotional state. Lu thinks Shin reads her mind and scolds him, but he tells her that he has to concentrate to tune in like an old radio. Just then, Shin finds an enemy and reports this to Sakamoto. A janitor tries to assassinate him, but his attempts are thwarted. Lu and Shin carry the janitor and lay him in the bushes nearby, and are surprised that Sakamoto didn't kill him despite the stab wound. Just then, the other assassin is more cautious of Shin rather than Sakamoto because he deems him more dangerous. As Shin and Lu walk through the park, Shin senses something, but the assassin walks right by him. Later on, Sakamoto and his family, along with Shin and Lu, get on a roller coaster ride. As they begin to ride, Lu points out that the assassins look suspicious, causing Shin to alert Sakamoto. The assassin takes out his gun as the roller coaster starts and shoots at Sakamoto, but his bullet is deflected as his glasses are bulletproof. Shin then unlatches himself from the roller coaster, jumps off, and apprehends the assassin. He throws him off onto the roller coaster tracks, and they begin to clash. As the roller coaster comes back around, the assassin throws a knife at Shin, poisoning him. He then begins to insult him and Sakamoto, calling them weak. Just then, the roller coaster comes back around, and Shin jumps on the roller coaster and captures the assassin mid-jump. They have a fierce battle. He grabs the assassin and jumps off of the ride, and they both crash land in the middle of a play. Shin then takes the costume of the pink bunny and uses Sakamoto's directions in order to beat the assassin. The assassin, dumbfounded, tries to figure out how Shin is moving so fluently, but just then Shin lands the finishing blow. The crowd cheers as Sugar the bunny wins. Lu screams for Shin as the rides become more intense. We are introduced to two more assassins by the name of Obiguro and Boiled, who plan to kill Sakamoto. Poisoned, Lu retrieves the antidote and pours it into Shin's eye, causing him to freak out. Sakamoto nonchalantly asks the assassin, whose name is Tatsu, who hired him. Tatsu asks if Sakamoto will let him go if he tells him, and Sakamoto tells him yes. Lu then takes the knife and pricks Tatsu, warning him if he doesn't tell them the truth, he will die from his own poisoning. Tatsu then tells them that he was hired by the Dondenkai. Tatsu explains that the underworld is toxic and he hates the vibe. He then tells them that he doesn't have loyalty towards anyone and is just a part-time assassin. Shin asks him if he is registered with the JAA. He tells them yes. Lu, curious, asks Shin what is the JAA, to which he responds, the Japanese Association of Assassins, as he also has a license. He explains that they are a contracting agency for hitman with about 400 pros. Tatsu curiously asks Sakamoto if he used to be in the order group. Tatsu's suspicions are correct, but just then Aoi and Hana come back asking where the trio went. They see Tatsu tied up and inquire, but Shin reassures her that it is for the act, and Hana compliments him on a good performance. As they leave, Shin takes the knife, surprising Tatsu. He asks if he is going to kill him, and Shin tells him no, surprising him. After that, Hana comes and compliments him again and puts a band-aid on his hand, shocking him. Tired, Tatsu says that he will take one more ride and leave the amusement park. Shin is still groggy from the antidote and thinks that they should leave the amusement park. Lu also agrees with this, but just as Sakamoto begins to consider it, Aoi, suspicious, tries to figure out what they are hiding. Later at a bathroom, Tatsu washes his hands and is surprised by Boiled and Obiguro. Curious, Tatsu tries to figure out why they are here, and Boiled tells him that they are there to finish his job. Boiled and Obiguro begin to argue amongst themselves, but Tatsu explains that they effortlessly killed 100 people in the Balkan battle, marking them as dangerous. Aoi and Hana are concerned that everybody is not having a good time, and figures they did something wrong, but Shin, Sakamoto, and Lu reaffirm that they are having a great time. They then enjoy the rest of the day having fun and enjoying the rides. Excited, Shin tells Sakamoto that they have not had any assassination attempts for the day. Aoi then suggests that they go into the spooky part of the amusement park, shocking them. The family begins to follow a hostess while Lu takes medication for anxiety as they reach the operating room. Everyone is alert. Boiled and Obaguro are seen spying on the family as they go through a spooky corridor. Aoi is impressed by the spooky design. Just as an assassin tries to get Sakamoto, he immobilizes him. Boiled and Obaguro continue to watch him as they venture through the hallway. They begin to bicker, but Obaguro hits a nerve when he calls Sakamoto his friend. We are then carried to a flashback where at the age of 14 they were enrolled into the Assassin Association. After Boiled introduced himself to Sakamoto, they became friends, or so he thought. During Valentine's Day, Nagumo came to bring him some gifts because all of the girls were simping over him. He asks who he was, but Sakamoto said that he had no clue, hurting him. Obiguro, indifferent, has an admiration for Boiled. As they continue to walk down the corridor, Hana enjoys every moment of the experience. Shin is impressed by the child's nerves, but Lu continues to take medication, which Shin later finds out is alcohol. Lu opens the door and a horde of zombies come out, and with that, Boiled attacks Sakamoto. Boiled asks Sakamoto if he remembers him, but he declines and asks about his family. After Shin defeats the zombies, he finds Aoi and Hana tied up and unconscious. Obiguro is kicked by Lu, and it is revealed that she is using the drunken fist technique. As Sakamoto and Boiled square off in an intense battle, Obiguro sets a challenge for Lu. If she can hit her once every 10 seconds, she won't kill Shin. However, Lu breaks down in tears, saying that she can't do it. Obiguro and Shin are surprised that she is an emotional drunk. Boiled and Sakamoto continue their clash, but Sakamoto is defeated by him with his special techniques. Just as Boiled begins to leave the scene, he gets an ominous feeling. Just then, Sakamoto arises, quoting the formula for his exploding balls. Sakamoto, now upset, prepares for the second round. Lu, in her drunken state, completely catches Obiguro off guard. This impresses Shin. However, he tells her to try to take the fight seriously because if she doesn't hit Obiguro within the 10-second mark, he will die. Obiguro gives Lu a strong kick, knocking her to the ground. She leaves as she thinks the match is over. Just then, Lu laughs at Shin because his voice is high-pitched. This shocks Obiguro. Calling her a happy drunk, Obiguro tries to hit her after she takes a sip of alcohol, but Lu effortlessly dodges. This angers Obiguro. She tries her best to hit Lu, but Lu evades every attack while softly hitting her, so Shin's timer can be reset. Obiguro gets a rush from this and asks Lu to try to kill her. Lu explains that she can't kill as it is her family's rule. She goes on to tell her that the Sakamotos are her family, but Obiguro mocks her and tries to attack. Angry, Lu tells Obiguro what she has learned while being in the company of the Sakamotos. Shin calls her an angry drunk and her power increases. Lu, who is ready to land the finishing blow, pulls back and lightly taps Obiguro on the cheek. She sobers up and forgets everyone. Obiguro is frustrated but surprisingly tells her that she loves strong rivals and embraces her. Shin is confused but asks Obiguro to let him go. Later, Sakamoto and Boiled continue the fight. Sakamoto, in his slim form, attacks Boiled. Boiled, taken back by the speed of Sakamoto, is knocked out of the building. Sakamoto completely dominates the fight and defeats Boiled. Sakamoto then explains to Boiled that he now uses his strength to protect his family. Sakamoto then throws Boiled into the Ferris wheel, completely ending the battle. Later, Lu, Shin, Aoi, and Hana are on a bench in the middle of the park. Aoi, a bit confused, asks why they are here as opposed to being in the haunted house. She presses Shin for answers, but he deflects her statements and leaves to look for Sakamoto. At the end of the ride, Boiled and Sakamoto leave, but a lady asks Boiled about paying for the damages to the Ferris wheel. Boiled then admits defeat as Sakamoto buys pork buns. Boiled asks him for one, and Sakamoto gives him one that he ate. Shin quickly rushes over to see him and freaks out at his appearance. Boiled then asks Sakamoto about the bounty because the Dondenkai will keep trying to kill him. Aoi, who overhears this conversation, is furious. Later, Lu and Obiguro take Hana away while Sakamoto, Boiled, and Shin talk to Aoi. Sakamoto explains to her that a bounty is on his head, shocking her. Boiled then interjects, telling Aoi that Sakamoto didn't want to tell her because he didn't want to ruin her day at the park. He then introduces himself to her, and she scolds him as well. She then pulls out the family rule book and shows it to Sakamoto. She tells him that they should not keep secrets from each other. After Sakamoto agrees, she urges him to come and enjoy the rest of the parade. Boiled compliments Sakamoto for having a good wife. Shin is curious on how Sakamoto is going to stop the bounty. He tells him that they are going after the one who set it. Obaguro calls this move reckless, as the contracts are handled by the JAA. Shin asks Boiled to ask his boss about the bounty, but Boiled doesn't have any information about it. Shin calls him useless as they leave, and Obaguro tells Shin to give Lu her regards. Later, Sakamoto is back to his fat state. Shin is perplexed, wondering how Sakamoto is able to gain so much weight in one day. Sakamoto leads them to a video store. Shin and Lu, curious about the video store, and are told by Sakamoto that they sell information in movie form. They are then taken to a screening room where they watch the film. The film gives the Dondenkai's information and Shin takes notes, but Sakamoto sleeps through the movie. After the showing, Sakamoto then pays the cashier a hefty amount. Shin is surprised at this, but Sakamoto tells him that he saved a lot of money from his bachelor days. The cashier, who is curious, asks Sakamoto if he is coming back to the association and warns him to be cautious. Later, Nagumo is seen with his colleagues having dinner. One of his colleagues asks if he has met Sakamoto recently, and he deflects the statement, causing him to get angry, his name Hyo. Hyo then tries to attack Nagumo with a knife, but he playfully blocks it and taunts him. We are then introduced to the two colleagues Osaragi and Shishiba. Osaragi tells Shishiba to check his food before he eats it. Frustrated, Shishiba grabs the chef and stabs him in the hand for adding onions to his plate. Just then, a JAA representative named Uriya appears and compliments the members for being together, but Hyo explains to him that 4 more members are missing. Uriya tells the team that someone has been killing JAA members one after another and would like their team to take care of the problem. Later, at the Dondenkai establishment, Shin, Sakamoto, and Lu infiltrate the company. They quickly take out the guards and head to the top floor. As they open the boss's door, they are terrified as they see dead JAA members on the floor while Nagumo sits in a chair. He tells the trio that he was the one who killed everyone. He takes out a fake knife and attacks Shin. He laughs it off as a prank, but Lu and Shin beat him up as he apologizes. He tells them that they were dead when he got there and was conducting research. He explains to them that over 100 JAA hitmen have been killed over the last month and thinks someone is trying to send a message. He goes on to say that the killer always leaves an X at the scene of his crimes. Nagumo tells them that the legendary order has been assigned to the case. Lu asks about the order, to which Nagumo tells her that they are a special task force within the JAA of the best hitmen. They are used to maintain order in the underworld. As he tells them Sakamoto was in the order, Shin and Lu are shocked. He goes on to tell them that the killings started to take place on the day that Sakamoto's bounty became public. Later, we see a man dressed in white reading a book who drew an X on the wall with someone's blood. Sakamoto and his team are back at the shop, and a hitman looks for him. Hana then presses a button to knock him out. Aoi is worried about the amount of hitmen that are now coming to the store, but doesn't mind since Band-Aid sales are up. Hana then goes outside to offer Band-Aids to the hitmen. Sakamoto remembers the words of Nagumo that he will be in trouble because of the 5 years layoff. Sakamoto tells Shin to prepare and become stronger. Just then, a hitman comes into the store, and Lu hits him in his head with a bottle. Hisuke, a sniper, has a pet bird as his companion. While his pet earns 10,000 yen per win, Hisuke barely survives on 2,000 yen. Dreaming of a worry-free life, he sets his sights on Sakamoto's 1 billion yen bounty, hoping to treat himself to sushi after the kill. Assassins attack the shop daily, pushing it toward closure, but there is no money for repairs. Shin suggests entering an airsoft tournament with a 1.2 million yen prize. While an old man and his grandchild discuss it, Heisuke suddenly barges in, demanding Sakamoto's whereabouts. Everyone immediately sees he's a rookie. He blindly believes them when they say they are just employees. Mistakenly, he entered the wrong store, as many places are named Sakamoto. An old lady had told him someone named Sakamoto worked here, but he forgot that over 200 people in Japan share that name. The Sakamoto in this store, an old man, had wasted time and money without gaining anything. leaving Heisuke disappointed. Now broke, he could not even afford breakfast and miserably watched others eat. Even after leaving, he kept staring at them, making them uncomfortable. Feeling bad for him, the trio gave him hot buns, and his delighted face revealed just how hungry he was. Heisuke may seem foolish, but people like him often survive longer. With no money for rent, he lived in a torn tent from his grandma. Determined to escape this life, he worked hard to buy a house and make the assassins who fired him regret it. However, just as he declared his goals, a strong wind knocked down his tent. Feeling hopeless, a tournament flyer hit his face. Winning the competition meant earning enough money to buy a house and securing a better future for him and his pet. The next morning, Sakamoto and Shin arrived at the tournament venue to register. Lu, uninterested in violent games, stayed outside to cheer them on. They soon noticed Heisuke getting scolded. Solo players were not allowed, only teams of 2 to 5. Despite his begging, the staff refused to let him join. Desperate, he spotted familiar faces, ran over and clung to Shin's leg, pleading for help. In the end, Sakamoto and Shin had no choice but to let him join. The event took place in a shopping district where players could shoot freely. Anyone hit by a blue bullet was immediately out. Since locals had to clean up afterward, contestants fought without holding back. Heisuke, however, kept asking silly questions, frustrating Shin. Suddenly, enemies ambushed them, but Heisuke quickly drew his gun and took them down in an instant, shocking everyone. Shin used mind reading to dodge and counterattack, while the big guy disarmed opponents and eliminated 2 at once. If they kept winning, their shop could afford bulletproof glass and new ramen flavors. Heisuke, touched by the teamwork, felt he had finally found real friends. However, something seemed odd. His teammates were too skilled with guns. With a serious face, he asked, "Are you guys gun fanatics or something?" Then, cheerfully volunteering as bait, he left the rest to his teammates. It turned out he was not a villain, just a fool. A drunken Lu suddenly appeared, loudly cheering for the legendary assassin. Heisuke froze at Sakamoto's words, then checked a photo and laughed. "That chubby old man looks nothing like the one in the picture," a nosy girl interrupted, revealing that Sakamoto was once slim and handsome before the pig spell cursed him. Shin awkwardly tried to explain, "This is just a misunderstanding." Heisuke nervously laughed with the group, but then suddenly turned and aimed his gun at Sakamoto. Despite his bond with them, he was willing to do anything for the tournament prize and the 1 billion yen bounty. To avoid enemy fire, the three split up. Shin and Sakamoto easily took down weaker opponents, while Heisuke called for his bird to bring him a rifle. He adjusted his gear and fired straight at Sakamoto's head. Sakamoto barely blocked the bullet with his hand, leaving both him and Shin impressed by Heisuke's skill. Shin wanted to chase Heisuke, but Sakamoto stopped him, saying they had to handle the remaining enemies first. Heisuke's eyes teared up when mentioning his rival. Heisuke saw this battle as his chance to prove himself as a true sniper. As the fight intensified, Sakamoto warned Shin never to reveal his location to a sniper. But even he did not expect Heisuke to use bouncing bullets. One narrowly grazed his shoulder. Working with his pet, Heisuke spoke through his radio, praising Sakamoto's dodging skills. However, Sakamoto noticed something unusual. Heisuke's bullets were not flying straight, but curving midair. He unleashed a storm of bullets, forcing Sakamoto and Shin to flee. No matter where they hid, Heisuke's bullets always found them. After a great struggle, the two finally found a spot beyond his reach. Heisuke was a nobody until he discovered his sniping talent, but no one valued his skills. He was terrible at close combat, clumsy, and useless at desk jobs, leading to his dismissal. Determined to prove himself, he chose Sakamoto as his target. His tragic story was cut short when Shin yelled, "Stop talking to yourself into the mic already." Shin urged Heisuke to stop seeking approval and just believe in himself. His panic made it easy for Shin to locate him. Realizing he had been exposed, Heisuke cursed, tossed his gear, and repositioned. But to his horror, Sakamoto casually picked up a rock and hurled it at him. Before Heisuke could react, his rifle shattered and he was sent flying. After winning the tournament, the group listened to Heisuke's emotional speech. Sakamoto could not understand Heisuke's despair and told him he is the best sniper he has ever faced. Overcome with emotion, Heisuke burst into tears. Finally, someone recognized his talent. Before leaving, Shin handed him a 50 yen coin as compensation for the destruction he caused. Later, at the shop, Shin asked Sakamoto how he met his wife. Sakamoto recalled falling in love at first sight with a store clerk's radiant smile. At the time, he mistakenly thought she ran away in fear after seeing blood on his clothes, but she had actually gone to get bandages. That moment made him fall even deeper in love. Watching Sakamoto blush amused Shin, but the assassin imagined holding a knife to his neck, if only in his thoughts. Sakamoto and Aoi are at the school supporting Hana and are thrilled. Back at the store, Shin and Lu are arguing over her using his apron. They bicker back and forth, and Lu insults him to the point where he leaves as Heisuke enters. Heisuke asks if he could take the buns that are on the floor. Lu, frustrated, tells him only if he leaves. Lu, remorseful, thinks Shin came back to the store. However, men in hazmat suits arrive, and they notice that Lu is wearing Shin's apron, and they kidnap her. In the van, the kidnappers are excited to know that they have Shin, but the driver, whose name is Seiba, tells him, the passenger, whose name is Tanaka, that the person in the photo doesn't match who they kidnapped. Frustrated, Tanaka scolds Seiba. The other members are curious as to why they have to kidnap Shin. Tanaka tells them that he was a part of a lab experiment and the only one who survived. Tanaka continues to insult Shin and is kicked by Lu. Lu then insults Tanaka for bad-mouthing Shin, realizing that they caught the wrong person, shocked. He is shocked. Later, Shin walks back to the store, expecting an apology, and realizes that Lu got kidnapped. Shin, who is full of regret, tells Sakamoto that he shouldn't have abandoned her, but Sakamoto pinpoints the location because of the name tag tracker. Back in the van, Tanaka is worried about the fact that they caught the wrong person. Just then, Sakamoto and Shin intercept the van on their motorbike. Excited because they don't have to go looking for Shin, Tanaka sends his men to capture him. However, Shin and Sakamoto take out the bikers quickly, shocking Tanaka. As Shin lands on the car and is met by Seiba, who takes out Shin quickly. He then makes an attempt at Sakamoto, but he then destroys his bike and returns to the van. Tanaka asks him if he was able to capture Shin. After telling him no, he begins to freak out. Thinking that they lost Lu, Sakamoto tells Shin that their last location was Okutabe. Curious, Sakamoto asks Shin about the lab. He tells him it was a place where he grew up, but he never remembered the scientists being violent. Sakamoto urges Shin that they need to get Lu back. They then arrive at the museum, which is used as a front for the underground facility. Sakamoto and Shin are greeted by workers who ask them to take their picture. After they tell them no, they are then forced to take pictures and use masks for disguises. Later, Seiba and Tanaka are carrying Lu in a cart, which is stopped by Kashima. He questions him about the person who was kidnapped, but Tanaka lies to him and Seiba exposes it. Then Tanaka and Lu are carted out. Kashima then threatens Seiba, telling him he needs to find the right person. Later, Shin and Sakamoto then try to enter through a secret passage, but it's blocked and they are attacked by robotic bears. After they defeat them, a robotic dinosaur attacks. Thinking swiftly, Sakamoto easily defeats the dinosaur. Curious, the scientists think that someone has tripped the alarm at the entrance. Just then, a man in the lab coat hits the scientist because he thinks they aren't working fast enough, but just as he goes to shoot him, Sakamoto and Shin disarm him. The scientists are surprised to see Shin, but tell him that assassins have taken over the building and kidnapped the leader. The scientist then goes on to give details of the assassins and their ranks. Just as one of the assassins enters the room, the scientist hides Sakamoto and Shin in a closet. Later, Lu is with Tanaka in a cell, and they argue, as Lu tries to escape the cell, but is stopped by Asakura, the leader. Later, a doctor who is drinking a blood packet tries to find out what the scientists are hiding. His name is Horiguchi. As he threatens to kill the scientist, Shin tries to kill him with a pen, but he dodges. As they face off, Horiguchi pulls out a syringe and injects Shin, causing his speech to be reversed. However, Sakamoto intervenes and knocks him down. Later on, Shishiba and Osaragi arrive at the museum based on Nagumo's intel. Heisuke enters the store and is excited that he found 500 yen. However, he finds Hana crying because she misses her family because she wants to tell them about the school event that she has. Remorseful, Heisuke offers to help and leaves to find them. Later in the prison, Asakura starts to reveal his plan to break out of the prison. Lu, realizing that he is the director, chokes him but lets him go. Later, Horiguchi is excited that he finally gets to meet Sakamoto. After he greets him, Sakamoto attacks, but ends up hitting Shin. Surprised that his body is doing the opposite of what he tells it, Horiguchi explains that the device that he stuck in the back of his neck reverses his actions. With witty thinking, he punches at Shin, which hits Horiguchi. Excited at this revelation, he prepares to fight. Asakura explains to Lu that the reason that he is in prison is because he didn't follow the enemy's orders. Lu is curious as to why they want her. Asakura is clueless as to why. Lu, thinking that Tanaka is the one who started her misery by mistaking her for Shin, starts to choke him. Asakura, worried, tells Lu that he is the one who was responsible for Shin. Lu, curious, thought that Shin was born with psychic powers. However, Asakura tells her otherwise. We are carried into a flashback where Shin and Asakura argue over a piece of meat. Asakura takes it, telling Shin that meat lowers the risk of malnourishment. Asakura is frustrated at the fact that he has to take care of Shin. He is more concerned with doing research. It was explained that Shin was left with him by an old friend named Ando. As time goes on, Asakura and Shin begin to develop a special bond. He looks at him as if he is his son. Shin even protects Asakura by stating his beliefs to other scientists. One night, Shin goes into the lab and drinks a serum. Concerned for his health, Asakura monitors him. Thinking to himself that Shin is safe, his mind is at ease. Just then, Shin replies to his thoughts, shocking him. Shin then shows off his powers to everyone, but after a while, the people who he thought were friends start to reject him because of his psychic abilities. Later, Asakura, upset at how Shin was treated, tries to work on a cure, calling his research stupid. However, Shin scolds him for calling his own research stupid, then runs away. Asakura is worried that Shin might have fallen into despair because of his power. Lu and Tanaka are emotional at the story. Lu then informs Asakura that Shin has changed because she has been with them every day and he is happy with his powers. She goes on to explain the Sakamoto's rule about no killing and how they resolve issues within the family. Feeling foolish, Asakura then uses acid to break out of jail. Lu is surprised by this, but Asakura states that if he is locked up, he can't help with research. Emotionally, Asakura asks Lu if Shin has grown. The jail door opens and a man in a lab coat comes to investigate but is quickly taken out by Lu, who tells Asakura that he can talk to Shin when they meet. Horiguchi continuously taunts Sakamoto by activating and deactivating the chip in his neck. Then he injects a serum in his arm, causing him to mutate. He attacks Shin and plants more chips in him and taunts him. He calls his power useless and stupid, and as he gets upset, Sakamoto picks him up off of the ground, telling him not to get his clothes dirty. He tells him that his abilities are not stupid and offers to show him. Horiguchi takes all of his syringes and turns into a super soldier. Sakamoto tells Shin to stand and turn his back to him. Thinking that Shin is taunting him, Horiguchi attacks, but Sakamoto gives him orders on where to move and strikes Horiguchi. It is revealed that Sakamoto is telling Shin where to avoid his attacks via his psychic abilities, thus hitting Horiguchi in the process. Horiguchi is defeated, and Sakamoto and Shin are cared for by the doctors, who help take the chips out of their necks. In the solemn moment, the doctor apologizes to Shin, and he explains that he is doing much better now that he is with Sakamoto. As the two head down to the research lab looking for Lu, they have a conversation about the order. Just then, Sakamoto steps on a button and the floor opens. Just as they are about to fall, Sakamoto kicks Shin out of the way. At the basement level, Mr. Reindeer, Onigahara, and Takamito face off against Shishiba and Osaragi. After they exchange pleasantries, Shishiba tells Mr. Reindeer that they are sent by the JAA to eliminate him because of manufacturing illegal weapons and coercion of hostages. As he continues to talk, Onigahara and Takamito threaten him. Without warning, Osaragi cuts both their heads off. She and Shishiba then have a casual conversation, moving Mr. Reindeer to tears. He tells them that they don't value life and prepares to attack. Osaragi calls him a hypocrite because he kills people as well. But without warning, he slashes Shishiba, wounding him. Mr. Reindeer then explains why he kills. Shishiba, however, breaks his neck with the hammer as they continue down the tunnel. Mr. Reindeer revives, but is crushed by Sakamoto, who falls from the tunnel above. Sakamoto greets the pair. Osaragi blushes, calling him a teddy bear. After Mr. Reindeer gets up, Shishiba and Osaragi leave Sakamoto to look for the leader named Slur. Later, Shin runs into Seiba and they begin to clash. Because of his invisibility suit, Shin is only able to dodge his attacks at the last second. Shin then gets wounded and then stabbed by Seiba. Back in the basement, Sakamoto and Mr. Reindeer face off, while Shishiba and Osaragi leave to look for Slur. Shishiba explains to Osaragi that Sakamoto will not lose to ease her concern. Shin, wounded by Seiba, then uses his blood to mark him as a target for Heisuke. Sakamoto faces off against Mr. Reindeer. They have a discussion about their ideals. After this, Mr. Reindeer, whose name is Kashima, regurgitates a weapon from his mouth, but Sakamoto disables it. They continue their conversation about their beliefs, and Kashima goes on a rant. Later, Lu, Tanaka, and Asakura try to escape from the prison, and Lu promises herself that she will apologize to Shin. Elsewhere, Shin and Heisuke are battling Seiba. Seiba thinks that if he finds the sniper, he can defeat him, but just then, a bullet ricochets and grazes him. Seiba then activates the invisible suit and later reveals himself after the smoke clears. Heisuke, thinking that he has an easy target, is blindsided by Seiba's attack. Seiba then tries to finish off Heisuke, but he instinctively shoots another bullet that hits Seiba. Heisuke, however, is stabbed and incapacitated. Satisfied with this, Seiba walks away thinking that he has won. Heisuke taunts him, and Seiba turns back to finish him. Just then, his pet bird gives him a bullet, and he shoots at Seiba and misses. Seiba, thinking that he can't aim, is shocked when water from the fire extinguishers goes off, causing his suit to malfunction. Shin then quickly attacks and defeats Seiba. Shin and Heisuke's victory celebration is short-lived, as explosions start to destroy the floors. In the basement, Kashima then explains to Sakamoto that the explosives will be used to destroy the lab and all of its contents, so no evidence will be left. Kashima also goes on to say that it will be 20 minutes before everything is destroyed. Sakamoto, unfazed, says that he will end the fight quickly. As they face off, Kashima tries to gauge his strength, but Sakamoto completely throws him off when he pulls out some stickers and a mechanical pencil. The two engage in a fierce battle. As they fight, Sakamoto overpowers him. Kashima was reminded of his resolve. A train heads towards the pair, and they continue the fight while talking, continuing their ideals. The fight then spills over into the train, where Sakamoto, who is now in his slim form, begins to fight. We are carried to a flashback where Kashima stands amongst dead people. He is curious as to why everyone is looking at him like he did something wrong. Suddenly, a man kills everyone who surrounds him and gives him words of affirmation and tells him he accepts him. Sakamoto, unconcerned with his speech, carries him in a small cabin and beats him relentlessly. They continue the battle, but with all of the innocent civilians in the train, Sakamoto is concerned for their safety. After he rescues every civilian, he finishes off Kashima and throws him in the trash. Back in the lab, Lu and the others help everyone to escape. Just as a rock was going to crush Lu, Shin saves her. Lu, emotional, apologizes, and they both reconcile. Asakura and Shin exchange pleasantries, and the conversation goes awkward. Shin then pulls out his phone, signaling that they have 10 minutes to exit the building. They then create a plan to break everyone out of the building. Shin uses his psychic powers to locate everyone, and they split up. Asakura and Shin head to a different part of the building. Asakura, proud of Shin, loves the man that he has become. In the security room, Shishiba and Osaragi investigate the camera footage, but are unable to get a clear identification of Slur. However, the pair are satisfied they got a lead on him. Shin and Asakura continue on the path down in the basement. Shin tells Asakura to go in the other direction as he senses other people that need to be saved. He continues down the pathway by himself and senses a devastating presence. Shin is stunned as Slur walks past and tells him to say hi to Sakamoto for him. Later, Lu, Sakamoto and Heisuke are outside with everyone. Then Shin comes out and is greeted by all of the scientists. He is then showered with compliments by them for a job well done and blushes. Asakura then thanks Sakamoto for looking after Shin. Later at home, everyone enjoyed a good meal and were all happy together, enjoying each other's company. In the store, the crew are sore from the ongoing battles that they have recently faced. Sakamoto then suggests that they have some rest and relaxation. He takes everyone to the bathhouse. Shin is worried because he is tired, but Sakamoto adds that you need rest in order to perform your best. They then meet a receptionist named Yutaro, who is the heir to the business. When he sees Sakamoto, he is shocked. Thinking that he's a small-time hitman, he notices that Sakamoto's bounty is 1 billion yen, shocking him. Claiming that he has found his big break, he serves Sakamoto. Shin and Sakamoto then head into a bathroom. After the bath, they then go in the jet massage tub. When they sit down to enjoy the bath, Sakamoto suggests that the jets could be a bit more powerful. Yutaro then explains that he has booby-trapped the entire bathhouse. Just as Shin goes to press the button, Yutaro presses his and the jet blows Shin out of the bath, hurting him. However, Sakamoto is enjoying it. Next, they go to the sauna, where Shin is comfortable with the temperature, but Sakamoto suggests that it could be a bit warmer. Shin uses water to pour on the coals to create steam, but Yutaro activates a trap that sets fire to the inside of the sauna. However, Sakamoto is unfazed by this, shocking him. Shin tries to endure the pain, but he faints. Sakamoto sees a cold bath and tries it along with Shin, but Yutaro has that booby-trapped as well. Shin and Sakamoto sit to a waterfall, but Yutaro also has this rigged. They then go through a cycle of the same thing over and over. When they come outside to meet Lu, Hana, and Aoi, Shin is exhausted and put in a chair. Hana asks her father if she can play ping pong, and Lu and Sakamoto start to play. Yutaro, feeling dejected, has flashbacks. He tells his father that he is going to be a hitman, but his father tells him he is not strong enough. Just then, Yokun and Mon enter the bathhouse and insult Yutaro. He insults them back and gets slapped to the ground. As they continue to insult him, Sakamoto uses a ping pong ball and a popsicle stick to dispose of them. Grateful, Yutaro thanks Sakamoto as he leaves. The next day, Shin is even more exhausted. At the airport, a group of men are investigating the whereabouts of Lu. Later, at a restaurant, Shin, Lu, and Sakamoto are having lunch when a group of men attack them. After they defeat them, Lu recognizes the leader. His name is Lu Wu-tang. Wu-tang is desperate as he asks Lu to rejoin and take over the mafia as the head boss because of her father's death. However, she refuses. Confused about his appearance, Lu goes into a flashback and gives Shin and Sakamoto his history. She explains to Wu-tang that she is content living with the Sakamotos. Wu-tang, not wanting to take no for an answer, challenges Sakamoto and Shin to a triad-style game with Lu as the prize. Unsure about this, Sakamoto is reassured that if he wins, he will get information about the persons who put the bounty on his head. Sakamoto and Shin refuse, but Lu, wanting to find out this information, agrees. Wu-tang then leads them to an underground casino. Wu-tang then explains the terms of the bet to Sakamoto and leaves. Sakamoto tells Lu that they have Shin who can read minds so that he can tell what they are thinking. However, Lu tells them that Wu-tang is exceptionally smart. They are shocked to find that Wu-tang won 90 million yen in one sitting. Determined to win Lu, Sakamoto, Shin, and Wu-tang face off. Later, Seba and Tanaka decide to open a business after the lab gets destroyed. Seba uses his invisibility suit to make the ice cream cones float, causing their business to go viral. Shin opens a briefcase of 30 million yen and splits it between him, Sakamoto, and Lu. Lu is concerned about the terms of the match because of his intelligence. Wu-tang chimes in and explains that gambling is a game of psychological warfare, and he can't ever leave things to chance. As he bets all of his chips at the table, he wins effortlessly, frustrating Lu. Sakamoto and Wu-tang have an exchange as they face off. Shin sits at the poker table, however he is clueless as to what's going on. Lu then comes over and asks him if he learned the rules of the game, but he tells her that he didn't. As they argue, two of the winning cards fall from his hand. The competitors are afraid, but seeing his novice expression, they realize that they can bluff him and cause him to back out. However, Shin, knowing their thoughts, goes all in and wins and boosts his earnings to 22 million yen, frustrating the other players. Later, at the roulette table, Sakamoto bets all of his money on the red color and keeps one chip just in case. The dealer explains that he controls the electromagnet and can manipulate the game. As the ball is about to land in the black spot, Sakamoto hits the magnet with the chip, causing the ball to fall in the red spot, shocking everyone. He wins 29 million as a result. Wu-Tang is informed that the group is cheating, but he tells them not to intervene. Wu-Tang continues his card game and wins. It is explained that he is a professional at card games. As Wu-Tang keeps his poker face, we are carried into a flashback where he was bullied. However, Lu saved him. Lu asks him why he would let the bullies beat him, to which he thinks his excuse is lame, but Lu thinks that he is smart, surprising him. Wu-Tang, then using his smarts to reach the top of the mafia, is grateful for the opportunity. Wu-Tang and Sakamoto face off with the same number of chips on the table. One of Wu-Tang's subordinates asks him to shoot Sakamoto, but he refuses. Wu-Tang asks Sakamoto to play poker, but he doesn't know the rules. They then settle on a game called Old Maid, where the person who has the joker at the end loses. Shin, knowing he can read minds, thinks that he can win easily. Shin then scans for who has the joker and he sees Lu, anxious. Wu-Tang takes the joker from Lu, saving her from defeat. Shin then picks from Wu-Tang's hand, but Wu-Tang intimidates him mentally. As he goes to pick a card, Wu-Tang thinks about complex calculations to cause Shin's mind to overheat, causing him to collapse. As the game progresses, Wu-Tang and Sakamoto are left. Wu-Tang, having the edge on Sakamoto, tries to pick the last card from his hand, but is unable to. He then switches the card, leaving the joker in Wu-Tang's hands. Frustrated, the subordinates start a mutiny, preparing to shoot Sakamoto and Wu-Tang. Thinking all is lost, Sakamoto encourages him to get up to impress his crush. Remembering what Lu said, Wu-Tang then strengthens his resolve. He tells the group that he rigged their guns with explosives, giving Sakamoto and Lu the opportunity to neutralize them. However, it turns out that Wu-Tang was bluffing. Back at the store, Wu-Tang is seen working with the others. He tells Sakamoto that Slur is the one who put the bounty on him. Shin and Lu ask for more information on him, but Wu-Tang explains that no one has intel on him. He explains to them that 4 prisoners from Asia most likely faked their deaths to escape prison and are hiding in Japan. We are then introduced to Dump, Saw, Apart, and Minimalist. As the 4 argue back and forth, they are interrupted by Mr. Reindeer, who gives them a list with Sakamoto, Nagumo, Shishiba, and Osaragi. Minimalist tells Mr. Reindeer to give him a month, and they will get the job done. But if he doesn't have another list, they will go on a killing spree. Later at the store, Sakamoto, Shin, and Lu prepare to launch an attack as well, surprising Wu-Tang.